Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Pathfinder playtest here on Roll20. Hi, everybody. Hello.
Hey.
Welcome. I saw some frantic faces before we went. Like, is everybody done? Did y'all do your homework?
Well, Adam, I have one question for you.
Yes, hit me.
And that question is, do I take 2 crossbows with class of returning or 3?
Well, that's a personal choice that
All
I can't
is
make.
add another number, and I can change that number immediately. So
That's true.
I don't know what you think.
How many crossbows? I mean,
I will also poll chat for.
I was gonna say, you know that chat is.
Hit me up.
They're gonna want you to take as many crossbows as you can manage. So I don't know. It's a personal choice. Well, cool.
Wait, is it consumable?
Is it? I didn't think it was. But
If this
is, it is. That's a shame. My whole build is ruined.
Curse you, Teishiru, for knowing the rules.
How dare you?
So go ahead and check on that one. So this is our first post character creation episode. So we're actually going to get started on the adventure today. I'm super excited. But before we dive into Pale Mountain's Shadow, let's see what everybody's been up to. Dave, besides being the master of the Pathfinder rules, what have you been up to? You guys are still playing that Burning Wheel game, right?
Yeah, we finally got another session.
I saw Ashley tweet about it. How's it going? Tell me about that.
It's going pretty well. I built a very ineffective character.
Good. So you're getting all the fate and the persona for being a failure?
No, not really even that. I did.
Oh, you're the bad.
Think about this because I thought what I thought would be a really good concept of, since it's all about art and artistry and stuff, I thought bring in an outcast dwarf and see like how the two cultures mingle. We can talk about that kind of cool stuff. What I didn't think about, which is not a mistake I'm going to make again, all my life paths were dwarven life paths, so I couldn't circles anybody.
Oh yeah, right.
Rip.
And that made it incredibly difficult to get anything done.
Right, you're on your own, right?
Yeah, so we've eventually kind of got past it slightly by I have to sort of use one of the other players as a proxy, and we had to develop the relationship between the two characters that let us eventually let me complete any goals.
Oh, that's
cool. It's been a lot of fun.
That makes sense. So you're basically just like having someone else circles up, so friend of a friend instead of a friend thing. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and they're making it complicated for me because they're a criminal. So all of them aren't the kinds of people I actually.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's been a lot of fun, and also at the end of that show, in a Discord I was in, people started talking about RuneScape, so I've been playing RuneScape.
Oh no.
You got influenced. I never played RuneScape.
God, I really love RuneScape. I might play it again. I'm having fun, unironically.
It's just like it's a really old ass MMO, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm playing the classic one, which is still like past when I first started, because I remember, this is how old I am at MMOs. I remember when RuneScape had the faux 3D, where it was a 2D model, and when you moved in a diagonal plane, it flipped.
Right,
like that.
Of course.
It didn't have any depth to it. I remember that. So that's classic. So this is like fancy and stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to like, decry how old you think that you are, Dave, but how old are you when EverQuest came out?
I don't know. Let's have a look.
EverQuest came out in 1999, March of 1999.
7 years old.
There you go. Cool.
So I never did EverQuest.
Yeah.
Enjoy your incredibly old video game, or old feeling video game.
Killing cows, picking up hides. Oh yeah.
Very nice. Cool. I'm glad you're keeping busy. Kat, you started a new thing last week or this week?
Yeah,
this week, right? You guys started your first episode.
Yeah, this Monday was our character creation.
How did it go? How was it?
It was great. It was so much fun. So we, for Roll20, we now have a Burn Bright campaign, which is really exciting to me because that is the game that I made. And it's like the first streaming thing that anyone's doing for it. James Intricasso is running it. I'm one of the players, and it was a blast. It was like super duper fun. Everyone seemed to have a really good time, and I'm playing one of the species that that I really love. And someone else picked like one of the ones that I made and was really jazzed about it.
Yeah, so this is a different experience than one I've had before, but you're playing the game. It's not just like, hey, here's a fun game and we're all going to get together and try to have a fun, successful time streaming it. It's, hey, here's this game that I contributed to, and now we get to see if it works. Like I thought.
Yeah, it's very odd and super intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But so far, it's like you get to see people be excited, both, the people that you're immediately streaming with and in the chat about it. It's a space fantasy thing, and people seem to like space fantasy. So there's just been a lot of like, oh, new stuff fervor. So we'll see if that holds through into next week. We play on Mondays around noon Pacific. That's around when it is.
Cool. So yeah, what is the deal with Burn Bright? Like, I know obviously this is a setup question because
Sure.
I know the answer to it, but like let's pretend like I don't for the
Okay.
audience.
Yeah. The elevator pitch of Burn Bright is it takes place in this. It's a space fantasy. It takes place in this galaxy called Alaxis, where the deal is, a little while ago, with the galaxy was in contact with another galaxy like a whiles away, and then contact with that place just went like dark, and in attempts to figure out what happened, people realized that there was this phenomenon called the burn that was slowly encroaching in upon the universe. And now what's people have been left with is that like their space is slowly shrinking, and we're like 100 years from now going to be completely closed in, and there's not going to be any space left. And people don't know whether it's like a reverse Big Bang situation, whether everybody's okay on the other side of this thing, what it is, but it's an environmentalism sort of.
I was gonna say, are the bad guys in this game burn deniers? Are they like, it's not real, it's a conspiracy made up by the space liberals?
There are a bunch of different bad guys, but those are some of them. We were all fairly angry when we wrote this game. And so your people that are, doing stuff for this organization that is like helping people who've been displaced by the burn, and like dealing with people that are exploiting the resources at various edges of the galaxy, etc.
Cool.
Making your way in the world. That's what it is.
Cool. So you guys did your character creation, so folks can catch up on that if they haven't seen it, and then show takes off Monday. Cool. Well, that's exciting.
Please do go back and watch that, because the races and watching PB in particular get excited over every race as it came out was
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen, if anybody here hasn't seen Pumpkinberry do literally anything, but that's how she do, and it's pretty great. Watching her do, when Blue Jay was running Star Trek, watching her do that was just, it was amazing. She's hilarious. Yeah, she's exactly infectious joy. She's hilarious. So definitely check that out. Cool. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch it live, but I've seen bits and pieces from the character creation. The system looks really cool, and it seems like you guys are having fun. So
yeah, thank you.
Cool. Yeah, Elf, what have you been up to? I saw you playing some XCOM, which is like your life.
I have currently the longest running XCOM Long War campaign that I have ever had.
Oh no, that's so much pressure.
Which is really tense. And the last thing that happened was like a Code Black situation where a whole team died. So,
Thanks.
I'm a little tense about today's exploits when I get there this evening, but we'll see, I guess, if we're back to square one or not.
Oh boy.
Soon enough.
Yeah. I guess that's the appeal of that style of gameplay, though, right? It's like playing hardcore mode in Diablo. Like when you lose your character, it gets you tilted, but also like that's the point. Right?
I had to stop. Like I stopped a little early yesterday because I had to stop once that whole team died, because I knew if I went into the next one with the vibe of like, oh, I'm fucked, I would.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like.
Well, I
would make some stupid mistake and like lose everything.
Yeah,
so.
it's the thing about like how in Dark Souls, if you butt up against the same boss over and over and over, you just get worse and worse and worse at it, and then you put it down and you come back later. Dave, don't say anything about how you've never done anything but one shot a boss. I know you're a liar. Don't shut your mouth, Dave. I know you. Shut your face. But yeah, like it's an interesting thing with games where you can like really get messed up and be like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna step away. I'm gonna come back.
Yeah, I was like, I'll come back tomorrow and we'll see if I'm like, oh, it's literally unsalvageable. I lost the whole team, but it isn't. It isn't. We can survive. Like it's just, it's tough. But I've been playing this one save game for like a week now.
Right.
And that's very dangerous territory that we're in.
Yeah. So how do you win in this situation, right? Like how do you get through that?
So the deal with Long War is like it's XCOM's story, but like more expanded a little bit in terms of like everything takes a little longer. There's a lot more to do, that kind of stuff. And you're basically liberating regions of Earth from alien occupation.
Okay.
And eventually taking out the like leaders of this like alien deal. You're basically a terrorist organization against occupying aliens.
Right. Okay.
But to liberate an area, you have to find a bunch of leads in that area that leads you to the signal base, which leads you to where the actual base is, sort of thing. And then you have to take out the general in that base.
So can you win? Can you like do this enough times?
Can win.
You can, okay.
Yeah. You can win the game.
Okay.
And the aliens progressively do this research that leads towards this like doomsday project called the Avatar Project that like continually counts up, and you can counter it by destroying bases and stuff, but it continually counts up. So if you're not pursuing objectives quickly enough, they basically just go like, well, we've liquefied the human race, like everybody's dead and we did our thing and you're fucked. So
yeah,
the game just ends basically.
Okay, right. So it's about like pushing hard. Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Like it's all about timing. Like you have to push a little bit harder than you're technically capable of to achieve things at a rate at which like you can never wait until you're comfortable, because if you wait until you're comfortable, you die.
The great thing
it's
about
like very much a like pressure game.
The great thing about Twitch as a thing is that I have literally no interest whatsoever in experiencing that for myself, but it's really fun watching someone else who enjoys it play it.
That seems to be a lot of people's take on XCOM. Like they don't want to do it, but they'll watch me do it plenty.
Yeah, I don't want that for me, but I want it for you because it seems like you enjoy it. So
time pressure is one of those things that I think is like a weird motivator, because I don't like it, but it pushes you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Cool. Well, good luck later today with your continued playthrough. I hope that it doesn't just totally go to shit for you.
Me too. We'll
have you won?
If it does, back to square one.
Have you won the Long War yet?
I have never won the Long War.
Well,
I have like Iron Man legendary to all the like vanilla stuff, but this mod is just a fucking
This is the extreme mode. Well, good luck. I hope you.
I'm playing on normal difficulty on this mod, by the way. There are 2 higher ones as well.
No.
So.
Get it away from me. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's too much. I can't handle it.
Yeah.
Josh, tell me something good. What have you been up to?
Tetris Effect.
Hells yeah, Tetris Effect. I hear that it's good games. Have you had? So I've seen a few people that I've talked to about this game. JP and Patrick Klepek both had like. It's really funny because they're so like confused by their response to it. JP was telling me, he's like, I was playing it, and at one point it was just like so overwhelming. Like I started feeling kind of emotional. I started having feelings that I didn't know what to do. And Patrick Giant, like he posted the same thing on Twitter. He was like, Tetris Effect is making me have feelings and I don't understand. It's a Tetris game.
Yeah, I mean, the creative designer for Tetris Effect was I believe same guy and same team behind Rez, Child of Eden, and Luminous.
Yeah.
So it really is meant to hone in on this sort of experience of fusing music together with visuals.
Mm-hmm.
But like where like the vocal tracks in Tetris Effect, the folks in the IntelliGame chat yesterday were saying like they sound like the end of anime theme songs where they talk about like togetherness and love and all this stuff, and it seems super garbage, except everything about that game, from its like from the visuals that it's creating to the music that it's creating to the actual like gameplay mechanics and the ways that they change on Tetris just a little bit, reinforce the themes of like unity and peace and like harmony in ways that are really unexpected. So
right. Yeah, it's one thing to say like, this is my role-playing game about unity and peace and story themes, and another to be like, yo, it's a Tetris hack about peacefulness and oneness, and it's like they're blocks, we're just moving blocks around, but like Yeah, that's impressive.
I mean, you've got these visual scenes that are there's like 30 different over 30 stages, and they're inspired by a bunch of different world cultures. They're when you rotate the pieces or move the pieces around, different sound effects play that like make you feel like you're interacting with and creating the music as you play. And then there's also this idea of like when you're going through the game's journey mode, which is basically its campaign. Each stage you have to get 36 lines to progress to the next stage, and every time you get 12 lines it transitions to the next essentially phase of that stage.
Right. Yeah, Luminous was like that too. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so instead of having usually when you play Tetris it's like, oh, okay, well, we play you start at level 1, then you go to level 2, level 3, all the way up until you eventually die or top out at 150 or at 150 lines. And this game, it'll have places where it speeds up and then other places where it slows down. And so you're not just dealing with this constantly mounting pressure. You also have places where you can like slow down and actually appreciate the visuals that are taking place around you.
That's really cool. Like the idea that it isn't just a constant increase in pay. It's like the opposite of XCOM in that way, in that it's like it gets tense and then it backs off. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a really solid game. I can't recommend it enough.
Are you playing it? Are you just playing it on a screen? Or are you going full on like?
I don't have PlayStation VR, but I am probably going to now. Like there is not another game that I've ever seen where I was just like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna go buy VR now. But this game, like experiencing it with a headset on, I can't imagine.
That's I think that's the big thing. Like if you're a publisher of games and you get a game on your platform that's like a console seller, right? The one that's like you're gonna buy hardware because this game is so good. Like that's indicative of a pretty big deal. Cool. Yeah, because I keep hearing about it and everybody's saying it's really good and I would love to play it, but also I've heard like, here's Tetris Effect and then here's Tetris Effect on VR. Like it's this whole other level of thing. Well, cool. That's exciting. Maybe I will play it. I keep waffling on it. It sounds so good.
Go ahead.
Oh no, please.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, well, I guess I'll go. There's a single video game that my mother plays. It's Tetris at like crazy levels.
Yeah, Tetris is your mom's video game.
Yeah.
I don't think my mom's doesn't have a video game.
Only one.
No, my mom's not a video gamer.
No.
No.
Tragic.
She had a Nintendo when I was little, but never really played it. No. What's weird about that, and we'll actually get into playing Pathfinder, but this is a funny thing to think about. That will become less and less true for people over time until eventually, like, when our generation is the like predominantly moms and dads generation, it'll be very hard to be like, yeah, my mom's never played a video game before.
Yeah, never in their life. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, fuck.
Like it's just a
not
thing.
Even like Candy Crush or some shit.
Right?
Like,
yeah. It's a strange time.
Everybody playing video games.
Someday that will be more true for role-playing games too. I think we're gonna get to a point where like
I hope so.
That's pretty normal. Certainly not to the degree, but like it'll totally be like, yeah, cool. Everybody inherited their role-playing shit from their parents, not just like some people. It's my one regret is when I die childless, what will I do with all these role-playing?
Bequeath them to some random person.
That's right.
Like have them the destiny of that like younger individual to be the role-playing scion that you've always desired.
I'll do the Ebenezer Scrooge right on my deathbed. I'll bust the windows open and be like, you there, boy? What alignment are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just find some random child to bequeath it to. Exactly. Good call. I like it.
Screw you, Ethel. That rocket invisible.
Yep. Cool. So we have characters now, as you can tell, because everybody has names that are not their names. Elf didn't just change her name to Lydia Longshot for no reason.
I should have.
So let's just catch up on what everybody chose for their magic items, and then we'll kind of do. I don't know. Do you guys want to do the idea in this is that you've been working together already for a little while. So do we want to do the like character descriptions and like I'll let you guys kind of kibitz over how your characters know each other and then we'll introduce the adventure? I think that probably makes the most sense because
Yeah.
then you'll have some context for like the early scenes and like how everybody gets along. Okay, cool. Well, let's talk about the mechanical stuff. So what items did everybody pick? Elf, did you decide to stick with your
I took 3 classes of returning
Perfect.
and 3 crossbows.
Mhm.
That's the important stuff. Hide armor as well.
Okay, all right,
The rest is irrelevant.
good. So crossbows, the ability to teleport said crossbows.
Yeah,
and
you
then
can
some
only
armor.
do it if you have quick draw, and I have quick draw, so it's
Perfect.
good.
Good. All right, everybody, get your Reaper memes ready. Cool. So Josh, your character, Berard, what did you choose for your magic stuff? Where'd you land on those?
I ended up taking a silver dagger because daggers, and then a comprehension elixir, a winter wolf elixir because we're supposed to be out in the mountains, and a sunrod because I've got I can see in dimly lit spaces, but if it's dark like our last campaign, I'm SOL. So
Yeah. Good call. So what do those elixirs do for you?
the comprehension elixir is a mental boost, and the winter wolf elixir makes me immune to cold.
Oh, cool. Man, where can I get one of those comprehension elixirs? There have been many days where I'm just like, my brain is not functioning. I need a magic potion to make me smart.
I
That's
feel
what coffee is for.
I feel much that way. Yeah, but for me, caffeine is anxiety trigger, so it's like comprehension buff, but I have to roll some sort of check every time I want to think I'm a good person. So,
Right? Yeah, your intelligence goes up, but your wisdom goes way down. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so you have a potion of being Bradley Cooper from that one movie.
right.
Excellent. Good stuff. Cool. Dave, what did you pick for your magic items? I remember you were saying something about some weird proboscis. Help me understand what's going on here.
Yeah, these aren't going to make very much sense because I made some significant changes to the character.
Okay, tell us about that.
Okay, so Plunderfist wasn't quite living up to his name as a flat 4 rogue. So we took one of those we took one of those general feats, and we picked up the monk dedication for better punching.
Yeah, okay. Hence the fist parts. You have the plundering and the fist now. Good.
Yes. So the magic items I got, the 3rd level one felt like a no-brainer, +1 leather armor. I'm going to be the front, so I need to be able to take hits. My 2nd level stuff, I grabbed a Bloodseeker Beak, which is an activatable item for when I do sneak attacks. It adds a d4's worth of bleed if that hits.
Okay. Is a blood seeker just like, is it like a stirge? Is that where you don't know what it is?
It doesn't say. No.
Good. Okay.
So it can be anything.
Sure. Okay. Digging it.
And since you equip those to an item, I thought I'd get a nice item. I grabbed the expert level, so level 2 hand wraps of might. So I have magic punching now.
Good. Okay.
So I do a lot of melee damage.
Magic punching, and you have one of your fists has a big spiky thing that sucks blood.
Yeah, I'll get one for like the other hand, or like swap between things.
Right. Good.
Be fun.
Good. Fantasy role-playing games. All right, cool. I'm excited to see you blood punch people.
Yeah, it's gonna be sweet as hell. And then I took a healing potion because I wasn't feeling very, creative with that level 1 thing.
Yeah, traditionally, chat brought up that they were imagining it on your character's face. Yes, traditionally a proboscis would emerge from the face, but you break it off someone else and put it on your fist instead, and I guess that's how you.
Yeah, I imagine the level 10 version of this character just has a bunch of things on different like brass knuckles, just like weird shit, and just swapping them in and out for different situations.
Perfect. Good stuff.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, cool. All right, so you got your proboscis fist that you can use, and you have your magic wraps.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, cool. Kat, for your character, for Parcel, what did you end up taking?
So Parcel has a lesser staff of fire.
Whoa, cool.
Yeah.
What does that do?
It's
Sounds
not
cool.
much.
You're like, it sounds cool, but it's a lesser staff of fire. So
It's a lesser. So temper your expectations. It has one charge, and it can either produce flame as a which is that cantrip, or do burning hands, which is kind of exciting.
that is one more time per day than I can cast burning hands. So
So it's got that. It's very special.
Depends how close to a stove I am.
right, yeah, that's burnt hands. I think is that. It's a bad spell.
So fancy little guy. And then two things that I think are pretty cool. So a hand of the mage. So I have it allows me to cast mage hand as an innate arcane cantrip.
Oh, cool. And is it like a ring or a glove or
no?
like a literal
it's
hand?
Cool. It's yes, it is a literal hand. It's a necklace with an elf's mummified hand on it.
Rad.
Yeah, so as an elf, it feels like it's really gross.
It's pretty cool though.
Going around with that.
Yeah.
And then I also have so I wear a little cape, and then I keep it closed with a brooch of shielding, which has like a currently 0 out of 30 charges to absorb magic missiles.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. And then with my level 1, I got a ladder feather token. So whenever we need a 20-foot long wooden ladder, guys, I'm here.
How does this work? So you have a ladder that's a token.
Yeah, I basically have a feather, and I crack it, and out pops a 20-foot ladder.
Man, magic items are a trip.
And then I took a lot of mundane items because mundane items are my favorite, but they're way more fun to just find out and play because they're things like a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, 10-foot pole is important, especially in a dungeon. Cool, I dig it. Awesome. Okay, cool. So everybody's got their items. Did anybody have gear they wanted to buy but couldn't afford? Because I know Dave saved some of his silver.
Nope.
Everybody's good. Yeah, I mean, I know you got your crossbows, so you're set. Okay.
I'm tiny and weak, so I can't carry anything.
Aw, poor little gnome.
Got a lot of bulk and a lot of extra silver. And if people don't, I'm just going to sit here and start just grabbing random bits of adventuring gear.
You do it.
Perfect.
Need some rope.
I've got some rope.
I want rope too.
I've also got a tent just for me.
Okay, so how let's talk about the party, because you're all level 4, and it's assumed that you've been adventuring together for some time. Elf, your character is let's go around. We'll do the dungeon world thing. Let's go around.
Introduction.
I just want to know, like, give us your character's name, give us their pronouns, tell us your class and your background, and your ancestry, and kind of just give us a description of the character, and then we'll talk about how the characters all know each other.
Okay, hang on. I'm gonna make sure I have all of this correctly when I say it. All right. Do I start the voice now? I think I give it a go. Here we go.
Oh, that's right.
Lydia Longshot, dwarven barkeep survivalist ranger. She has many crossbows and has never been defeated in a duel.
Perfect. So many crossbows. Awesome. So you used to be a barkeep, right?
Yes.
Why not anymore? Why are you not a barkeep?
It got a little bit too rowdy and had to close it down.
Oh, okay. So your bar was shut down by the authorities on account of it being dangerous.
Yes.
Okay. And was this your work, or was this someone else's doing?
It was my doing.
So you made it.
I was
rowdy.
far too indulgent of the. I just let in the wrong people. A lot of the wrong people.
Okay. Cool. All right. So you were forced to close your bar, and then instead of opening a new one, you turned to a life of adventure.
Well, if you can't live in a bar, then live away from all the annoying civilization stuff, wilderness.
Right. Okay. Cool. So you gave up on trying to please others with drinks and running a business.
I can still make my own drinks. It just takes a little longer and there's a little bit less quality.
Sure. Right. So less bathtub gin and more helmet gin, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So you left the civilized world to wander to seek your fortune, or was this more of like a forget you civilization temper tantrum type affair?
Well, I mean, seeking fortune is a dwarf's prerogative. So
Excellent. I really want you to have a magic crossbow called Dwarf's Prerogative now.
done.
Cool. Okay. So you so ostensibly that's when, and I mean, I guess the other characters might have known you from your barkeeping days
It's
as well,
possible,
but
yeah.
we'll see. Okay.
I did.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah. Well, let's tell us about your character, Dave. If you wanna hook into Lydia's background.
Yeah, you're right. So I'm called Plunderfist. Fairly self-explanatory, if I might say so myself. Pretty good at two things: stealing, punching. I feel a little bit bad. It's mostly my fault that the blood got shut down.
Okay. Of course.
I went a little overboard, killed a couple of people. Bar fight or two. It happened a few times. So I'm helping out with setting us up some jobs. Yeah, I'm a half orc. That's why I'm so strong.
Okay, good.
Half human. That's why I'm so sneaky.
Take that, humans.
And in case it wasn't already obvious, I've led a life of crime up until this point.
Hence Plunderfist. Yeah. Now, were you born Plunderfist, or did you become Plunderfist?
It's my name now.
Right. So you were. It's your parents weren't like, oh, what a good little Plunderfist.
You could say you plundered it.
You could, but please don't.
No.
Okay, so you two know each other because Plunderfist, despite being a fighting criminal type, has some sense of like a duty to Lydia that you have to like make up for the fact that she is where she is.
We're mates.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I mean, it wasn't his fault that the bar shut down. It was just a combination of lots of stuff he did and stuff that I let him do.
Okay, right. So a combination of his violent inclinations and also your negligence
Also
as a
that
business
my
owner.
bar is a freaking scum of like den of scum and villainy.
Look,
Sure.
It's not my fault people knew where I hung out.
Yeah.
And they kept trying to come and get even with me. And I just, dealt with it.
Sure, got it. Okay, so the two of you went on the road together. So and you're kind of looking after Lydia of the mini crossbows. Cool. Okay.
That's her name now, Lydia of the mini crossbows.
Yeah. Okay, so the two of you then probably during that post bar phase would have met one of the other two characters, maybe like on your first misadventure. Which of the two of you do you think it is? What do you guys think?
I don't know. You're both kind of upstanding-ish, aren't you?
I'm an intern, so whenever you guys hired an intern is when I joined the party.
Right. Okay. Cheap labor from an elf.
The fantastic thing about interns is you don't have to pay them. So I'll hire you anytime. Free labor.
I mean, what's funny is that you can actually get in this system, you can actually get paid in experience. It actually works, not like the real world. That's how you can tell it's fantasy. Okay.
If we're trying to be a little bit respectable, then I suppose it makes sense we should have someone who can like read books and shit. So, makes
Okay.
sense.
Good. Okay, cool. So you hired
Are you insinuating that I can't read?
Well, probably, but I mean, that bar's going to close down whether there's murders in it or not. You wasn't turning a profit,
The
exactly.
bookkeeping was not the issue. It just didn't exist.
So you like walked one town over and found an interns for hire thing, and
Yeah,
like
we
the for
spent-
hire being college credit on this one, and you found Parcel. That's the from outer space.
Right, I forgot that you're an alien. Right.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And an elf showed up in like a camo bodysuit with otherwise
Perfect.
very
Good.
very reasonable like a leather armor and a little cape. She has like green hair up in a bun, just really eager, and keeps asking about how this is going to apply back to her college credits.
Fantastic. Cool. So, and space elves are like actually a thing in Pathfinder, right? I don't know.
Yes,
the
very
lore,
much
but they're
they
very
are.
much a
I'm from
thing.
Castrovel.
Yeah, right. Perfect. Okay, so you have, and so I mean, I guess it makes sense that you would end up with these two weirdos because, yeah, like you're a little off-putting, but that's okay. You have company now. Okay, cool. So the three
also,
of you,
I'm definitely accredited.
yeah, right. Still waiting on those school credits. Okay, so the three of you spent some time adventuring together, trying to teach Parzel the ropes, even though, I mean, really, Plunderfist was at first, the only real, like, you know, adventurer type, but Lydia and Parzel have taken to it from then and become somewhat more experienced. So how did you meet Brard? Brard, tell us a bit about your character, and then we can talk about how you got roped in with these weirdos. Brard is like a pretty good boy, right? Like you got animal friends and.
Well, I'm generally pretty decent people. I'm a cleric, and trained in cleric things, but still have to kind of explore and find new places. And
Right, the gnome thing. That's right.
I've been brought here. I mean, I need work, and Lydia doesn't particularly have high standards when it comes to hiring the folks who need to clean up after the bar fights and
Take what I can get.
and so even though I'm technically more of a veterinarian than more of an animal doctor, but I mean, cleric spells, they still work on
right.
All the folks.
Oh my god, I love that you're an animal cleric, but like it's like the veterinarian taking bullets out of the gangsters,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Where you're just like, well, you know, I was trained to cast cure wounds on animals, but I guess it works on human flesh too.
There's totally a scene when Lydia's gone off to find someone because I've been like shot by a bunch of people.
Got, like,
and it's like, so
out.
how did this happen? He's like, fell down some stairs.
Yeah, I only go to you because you're not legally obligated to tell the city guard.
Yeah.
Rad. Cool. Okay, so you're along to keep them alive, even though it's not your main discipline, Brard. And being with them helps because you've been exposed to all kinds of like weird, strange things since joining the party.
That's a living.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Cool. Okay. All right.
It's
Well,
also incredibly exciting.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, and it does.
The whole gnome thing.
Also avoid the bleaching.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It does help
I tend to
stave that off.
Life around me tends to stay pretty exciting, but I'm myself fairly not.
Right, that's true. So like gnomes, they are biologically and magically impelled to seek out excitement and adventure, but it doesn't mean they have to be exciting or adventuresome, right? Like gnomes can be, you can be, Brard could be the guy at the party where everybody else is like, it's just going off and you're just like, okay, like I'm around this. It's fulfilling my medical requirement for excitement.
I get it.
I have this supreme desire, by the way, to just say everyone's name at least once in the proper Hearthstone Innkeeper introduction. So I'm just gonna do that now. Okay, I have to.
All right, do it.
So let's just go with other Plunderfist, Brard Yambest, Parzel, and Lydia Longshot.
It's perfect. I feel like part of the reason that your bar got shut down is because you did that every time anyone came in.
Someone comes in, I'm like, Steve!
God damn it, stop! Good stuff.
Lose more customers this way.
Yeah, right? Like in and then right back out. That
like,
guy!
It's like Cheers, but Hearthstone style.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Oh man, fantasy cheers. I'm into it. Cool. All right. So, when we find our adventurers preparing for adventure, you've been summoned as a group, summoned to a meeting in a trade town called Kelmarain, which is in the nation of Katapesh. Years ago, this town, just for some background, years ago, this town was overrun by bandits, gnolls, and slavers, and has spent most of its recent history as a ruin. It's been knocked down by monsters. And within the last year, adventurers came and ousted all of these bad dudes, and the town is on its way to rebuilding, trying to become a trading post once again. Several of the town's buildings remain in ruins, but there are numerous work crews toiling at repairing the major structures. So, kind of the visual we would get from this scene would be, at first, kind of the wide shot would be fairly post-apocalyptic, right? Where you see all these ruins, and the vibe would be like, oh, this town is destroyed. It's the site of something awful. But then as we get closer, as we move through the city, we start to see that there is, in fact, people that are living in camps here who are drawn from the neighboring provinces to build the town back up, to repair Kelmarain. So there's actually kind of a hopeful vibe here. Some of the larger buildings that are still standing. One of them is a church, an ancient church, and that is on the steps of this church is where we find our characters. You've been hired to meet with a representative of a group called the Esoteric Order of the Palatine Eye, which will be familiar to folks that were around for the last adventure. Your potential employer, Lady Commissora Vord, has offered you a sum of 45 gold apiece, which is a princely sum, along with the promise of great treasures to be found on your journey. So you find yourselves here before this church, which looks like it's been like requisitioned for use by the Esoteric Order. They have like people around. It's one of the only buildings that didn't get knocked over because it's big and it's stone, and gnolls don't really have a lot of siege weaponry. The clerics that once lived here were probably dragged out, but they couldn't knock the church over. Though there's evidence of them trying. Right, there's scratches on the stone. It looks like the door has battering ram marks on it. But it did manage to hold. So outside the door, there is a man standing at attention, and he looks like he's not sure if he's guarding the door or trying to stave off a nap. He's like relatively young, probably in his like early to mid 20s, sort of tan skin, hair that looks like it was nice once, but he hasn't had the chance to have it cut or tended to in a while, so he's like a little shaggy. And yeah, he has a sort of weariness to him. He's wearing chainmail with a dark blue tabard over it. The tabard at its edges is all like ratty and worn, but the rest of it seems like in okay shape. He has a sword on his hip and a shield, but he's not holding the shield because it's heavy, and so he's set it down at his feet, and it's leaned up against the wall. The shield, like the tabard, is unadorned. It's just a plain steel shield with rivets. And so he's standing by the door. He doesn't seem to have noticed you approaching. But this is where you're headed, and you are meant to meet Lady Vord, Camisora, at this church.
Excuse me, lad. We're here to meet Lady Vord. Is she here?
He squints at you, and he kind of gives you a look. You and your friends gives you a look that you have seen before, and it is a look of like, who are these weirdos, and what are they trying to get out of me? And so there's a moment of suspicion before he even says anything, and then he says, I'm sorry. Who are you?
Hired help Presumably, look, we don't got a name. Well, I got one, but we collect.
Look, we got a message to come here and get a job. So
this man has the sleepy effect of someone who was like one foot in bed when you walked up. So he kind of blinks, and you can see him kind of trying to recall, whether he should be expecting someone. And when you mention like, oh, we're here for a job, and you can see him kind of catching up. He says, right, yes, of course, the Lady Vord awaits, please. And he turns and he opens the door, and he gestures for you to go inside this ancient church.
Well, thank you. Like, go in.
Okay. All right. So you follow after him. Everybody's going inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
With a big old swagger. Wonderful. Does not walk anywhere.
Right. Okay.
He's got like the chest out, like.
You stride into the room. Good. Okay. Fantastic. All right. So you push past this guard guy, and he steps aside and gestures as he comes in towards a descending. There's a stairwell in the center of the room. So there's a staircase that comes down, and there are like upper levels. This is quite a large building. The inside is lit with torches in sconces, and is quite a bit warmer than the outside, despite the size of the place. So he gestures towards the stairwell and clears his throat and proclaims, "You enter the distinguished presence of Lady Camisora Vord, first throne of the esoteric order of the Palatine Eye. My lady, your mercenaries have arrived." And at the you look up the stairs to see like this Lady Vord descend, but instead a bemused voice echoes from beside the stairwell. From another room, and you hear her say, "Commodus, I might remind you, we're meant to be a secret society. Perhaps next time you might refrain from shouting our name out loud in front of every common laborer. Send my arrivals down to my office to meet me, if you please." And Commodus, this guard, looks embarrassed. Like he's like, "Oh God, I guess I shouldn't have announced like that you enter the and he's kind of looking down like, this way, please," and gestures towards the door, kind of leading off to the side of the stairwell.
I just give him like the like pat on the back move. That's like, it's okay, you fucked up, but it's okay,
Yeah,
it's cool. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone.
And he kind of nods like, yes, thank you, good, fine, that's fine. They won't. And he like looks at your friends like, please don't say anything. I didn't mean to.
We won't mention that you're part of the secret organization of the Esoteric Eye or whatever it was you said before.
Yeah, and you can see him kind of squirming, and he's a little flushed. He's embarrassed as you walk past this poor idiot. So beyond, there's a door. It's slightly open. You can see light coming from a little room off to one side. And you can hear someone inside like shuffling. There's the sounds of someone moving around. But this is where the voice came from. This seems to be the Lady Vord's office.
Do you reckon she's actually a noble lady, or they just made it up with the weird thing?
Does it really make a difference?
No, you're right. I don't care.
I don't know why she had to call us commoners. I mean, just because we're good people.
Are you not a commoner, Brad? You should have told me if you have some ancestry we can take advantage of.
I just don't want to be judged before somebody gets a chance to get to know me. That's all.
Probably actually a noble if she's calling us commoners, because I feel like only actual nobles call people commoners, right?
I mean, but wouldn't you say that if you just wanted somebody to think you were a noble?
Yes, deception.
Like the more nose in the air you act, the less you actually are.
Oh, I guess you'd have to be like really good at deception then.
Yeah, like me. All right, come on then.
I mean, Plunderfist, would you like to try to deceive your friend Parcel here and convince her you're
deception check.
Yeah, like I'm very good at deception.
Yeah. And I go like this. I go, here's my ruffles.
She gives him the squinty eye.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Plunder.
Excellent. So inside, the lady board can hear this entire conversation because you're just standing outside of like her office. And so from the inside, she says, "Were you going to come in, or?"
Yes, just conferring.
Okay. All right. So Lydia, do you lead the way?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So the room that you enter, you see it's a small room, and obviously the Lady Vord is the first person. She's actually the only person in the room. First thing you see, she's sitting on a stool. She has stern features, long black hair streaked with strands of gray that have been pulled into a long braid. Despite the fact that it's like quite warm in here, she's wearing an embroidered black gown, and near her there's an expensive looking lantern resting on the floor, illuminating there's another door in this room, not the one you came in, but the other room, illuminating a strange looking door that appears to have once been barred. There's a metal plate in the center of the door covered with etched lines in strange patterns. It looks like the Lady Vord is in the process of copying those runes into a journal. And the journal, it catches your eye. There is a golden scarab beetle on the journal, like set into the cover. But when you come in, she sets the journal down and stands up to meet you. So she has some box text for me to read. So I'll do that for you now. The Order appreciates your presence here today. I trust the figure in my summons was sufficient to secure your services. I have been studying with great interest a report from one of our agents, a Magnamarian named Kaleri Deverin, regarding an object of some interest.
What?
She looks at you. Magnamarian. Magmar. It's a place.
Yeah, all right, carry on then.
And she's going to see you like, oh, okay. As I was saying, Kaleri reached out to me with a report regarding an object of some import. We have reason to believe that a treasure we're interested in lies under Pale Mountain in an ancient complex called the Tomb of Tular Seft. I had been planning to attempt to retrieve it for some time, but I've retrieved word that there are some dangerous cultists seeking the treasure. The Night Heralds? Maybe you've heard of them? And she looks at you, Plunderfist, like, would you like to interject?
They sound a little overstuffed, you ask me.
I would love to roll underworld lore to see if I have heard of these dangerous cultures.
Ooh.
Yes, please do.
I don't suppose the alcohol.
I do.
You got a 22. Sorry, what was that, Lydia?
I don't suppose the alcohol lore will come in handy.
I mean,
beer called the Night Herald.
Night Herald was the name of a guy you used to buy cheap whiskey from, but
all I have is alcohol lore, so
yeah. So you don't know. So they're not like an underworld figure because they're a cult. But I can tell you that the name, like the Night Heralds, they are a group of, from what you know, they're a group of thugs. But they are thugs that are particularly like cruel. They don't just like rob people or whatever. They have this like darker purpose, and their modus operandi tends to involve blood, kidnapping, torture, that sort of thing. They are a grim group of individuals, not to be crossed.
Yeah. So she looks at me and I go, "Yeah, nasty lot of them."
And she
too much violence. There can be too much specific kind of too much violence. A bunch of weirdos.
Yeah, so she smiles and nods, like she appreciates that you know that, right? So you understand the gravity of the situation, and so she says, if the Night Heralds are interested in this treasure, that escalates things somewhat. I thought I would secure the services of professionals. And you can see her maybe trying to rethink that. Like, maybe there's a better word.
Come to the right place.
I would have waited for other members of my order, but time is of the essence. And, well, you were available. Fortunately, we have an advantage that they do not. The majority of the tomb is a labyrinth that, while compact, is difficult to navigate and is rumored to be filled with traps and beasts. Caleri's research, though, has revealed a back entrance to the tomb, hidden in the lower slopes of the Pale Mountains. This entrance is said to appear as a blank stone within a scar across the mountain. With luck, you can reach the tomb and secure the treasure before the Night Heralds even enter the complex.
Did you hear that puzzle? Labyrinth. It's the kind of thing you like.
So ominous. She says, I've had Commodus prepare a map of the route. The object I require is a gemstone with a series of shifting hieroglyphs within it. If you can read the hieroglyphs, and she says so dubiously, like, you probably can't, but if you could, you will note they represent a number, a sequence that appears to be counting down. Caleri's text refers to the gemstone as a clock, but other than rumors of it being hidden in Tularsef's tomb, we know little about its specific location within. All the other treasures in the tomb are yours to keep, though the Order may wish to purchase any items you find that are vital to our efforts. At a particularly fair price, I'll add. But the gemstone is mine. Anything else? Do as you please.
Nothing we're not supposed to touch. Normally when you get that kind of ominous voice or imperious, it's like, touch nothing but the lamb.
I was going to make that reference.
So she looks at the group of you like, I didn't say anything about a lamp. She says, no, only the gemstone. Whatever else you find, you're welcome to it.
You're right.
Yeah, all right. She says, you have any other questions? Just besides the allocation of treasure, of course.
Anyone? Comments? Questions?
How long has the labyrinth existed?
I don't know.
What are its stats?
Well, I haven't been there myself. We know of its existence, but you'll be the first to visit it. Perhaps since the burial of the wizard within.
Okay.
I've got one. Will your man Commodus write us a declaration of the Order of the Esoteric Eye? He seems very good at it.
She side-eyes you real hard, and she says, I don't think Commodus will be declaring much of anything for some time.
He's in the doghouse now.
I think she you know what, roll, I don't know, I want to know if she thinks this is funny or not.
You want me to roll?
Yeah, roll something.
Persuasion or something?
Roll perform. Let's see how your performance is.
Yeah, all right. 7.
Okay, I'll roll randomly. Let's see.
A -1 on performance.
Oh shit! She gets a 2. So she chuckles despite herself, and she says, yes, well, some of us take the secret part of secret society more seriously than others.
I've known several secret organizations that take their secrecy very seriously. Yes.
So yeah, she's nodding like, okay, good. You understand, and she's starting to understand that, like, get that you're the boss of this operation, and so she's kind of just like, yes, we both have incompetent employees. That's difficult to handle.
Parcel stops thinking about this dungeon for a second and like bothers to think about this magical, presumably magical County Downey clock thing, and is like, oh, my job. And I'd like to roll presumably an arcane lore on that sucker.
Yeah, on the idea of like a large gemstone with a series of hieroglyphs.
Yeah, a thing that
sure
might be applicable.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, that's academia lore. Hold on. So never mind. So just Arcana then? Can I use an Arcana?
Yeah, I think that's the one. Is Arcana different from? Let me take a look. Let me look at the skills description.
It's either Arcana or occultism, depending on.
Right. I wasn't sure if Arcana was a different skill from like lore in Arcana, but that's fine. You can go ahead and make that.
Okay.
Arcana is a skill you can use the lore ability from.
Damn.
Whew.
Wow.
There you go. Cool. All right. So, I mean, either of those are great. So you'll get yes. So I don't think you know specifically. Like, she didn't give you a proper name. It wasn't like the gemstone of Kadash. It was like a description of a type of thing. I will tell you this, and this is something that maybe it seems like common sense, but I'll go ahead and confirm it for you. Generally, any kind of magical object that appears to be counting down to something, they don't count down to things that are good. It's not like New Year's in Times Square. It's not going to be like 2, 1, hooray, and confetti comes out of it. We're talking like this is probably bad. Generally, clocks and what have you tend to be followed with like, it's like a doomsday clock, or, like it's not, this thing seems like dangerous.
Parzel like looks up briefly from scribbling a bunch into a notebook, and then is like,
"Oh, so what's this bomb counting down to?"
She
Wait, Parcel, did you say bomb?
Yeah. Yeah, probably like a bomb, right? Like a bomb or like a countdown ticker.
I think you're intuiting a little too far into the... She said gem.
No, it's definitely like a doomsday device, or like a at the very least, the nicest thing I think it could possibly be is somebody's countdown for like a really, really, really fancy cake, but it's probably not. It's probably like a horrible doomsday device. Otherwise, why would you bother hiring us? So like what sort of bad things gonna happen?
I'm gonna keep in mind the cake and just hope for that.
Why though? Because probably it's a bad thing, and we should know, shouldn't we? That's our
Cake
job.
would be bad for us too, but the bomb would be worse.
Why would cake be bad? Why would cake be bad?
I mean, it tastes good, but it's not generally good for your health. If it's a countdown cake, it's probably have some sort of... never mind. That's fine.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
Thank you for your input, Brad.
I just want to make sure that the party is making sure that our health is maintained in the long term. That's...
So just like, if it's like super bad, like what sort of thing is it, basically?
I can't even. I'm just thinking about a countdown cake. It's the doomsday cake. Oh, that's so good.
What you don't know is it's actually a huge animated cake, and then it just kills you.
Yeah.
It's like one of those cakes. And the stripper comes out, but it's like Nostradamus, right?
I foretold this event.
That's right.
Now have some cake.
and then he takes off all his robes in a sexy way. You get both. You get Nostradamus and the Nostradamus striptease. He's very pleased about his skills. So yeah, the Lady Fort has been just watching you talk amongst yourselves about what this situation might be. And finally, when she has a moment to step in, she says, "Well, Parzel, was it? You're not likely wrong. These sorts of things do tend to count down to some grim omen, some ominous event, but if we don't have the gemstone in our possession, we can't possibly know what it is. And I would feel safer being able to examine the object to determine what it is that it's counting down to, rather than simply leave it to count down unattended."
Oh, are you like lying about that, or
That sounds like lying.
can anybody tell if she's lying?
I mean, would you? Yeah, if you want to make a check to like get a read on her, you certainly could.
Parcel like looks around at you guys.
Is she lying? Can you tell?
It sounds like you're lying. Are you lying to me right now?
There's no insight in this game.
Yeah, it like would it be? I guess it'd be perception.
Perception? Cool.
I suppose.
I have expert perception.
Ah.
Yeah, same.
Should.
Nice. Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. Get it on the table. There you go.
Screw her intentions.
Okay. All right. So yeah, if anybody else wants to roll, I don't think you're gonna do better than
No, I'm gonna leave it to Plunderfist.
Plunderfist's roll there. Okay. All right. Cool. So she's not. She's telling the truth. I mean, it sounds like she's suspicious, but she means what she says. She's just like curious and like wants to find out what the deal is with this thing.
Okay.
And Parcel goes back to writing dungeon stats in her book.
Excellent. Okay.
All right. Well, we'll leave you to your whatever it is that you're doing now.
So yeah. So you're gonna leave, and she.
Do we have a direction for this labyrinth, or where we need to go, or any information?
This map, she gives it.
Ah,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, I was not fully paying attention.
You're like, I was thinking about cards.
I was thinking about beer.
Man, I've had that happen so many times. I'm sorry. What were you saying? I was thinking about drinking. So okay. So you leave her office, and as promised, her friend is outside, and he hands you his name is Camadus, but I keep thinking his name is Camadan, like the monster.
Yes,
he's
Camadan.
not. No, he's a person.
He's not a Camadan?
No, he's not a leopard
a
with
panther
snakes
with,
growing
like,
up.
snake
Yeah.
meat?
No. So he hands you a map as well as some other items. He gives you an ivory scroll tube. And he gives you I'm supposed to give you a +1 magic weapon. But Plunderfist uses his fists. And Lydia has 1,000,000 crossbows.
I could use a magic crossbow.
Yeah. I'm specifically not allowed to give you a ranged weapon.
Damn it!
I'm sorry to break your heart on that one. So probably the item that'll get the most use that like anyone could use would be like a magic dagger. Because I think a bunch of you could use that. So yeah, so there's a dagger that he hands you. It tells you that it's enchanted, and you can see it's got like on the hilt. Probably there's like a triangle shape with an eye, and it's like a jeweled dagger. And he hands that to you, Lydia, and tells you that it is enchanted.
Is it just a +1?
It is a +1 magic dagger. Yep.
Okay.
Anyone need this dagger? Brad? Sure.
Uh,
I can throw it at someone.
small but effective.
Right, just like you.
That's my job.
Okay, so you have a +1 magical dagger, and she so he gives you these, and Camadus then says to you before you, as he escorts you from the church, he says, "May you find speed and insight on your course. For performing this service, you'll earn a good name within the order, a reward greater than the coin, whether you believe that or not." And he's kind of just like eagerly like, yeah, when you get back, like you everybody's gonna like you for doing this. Good stuff.
You know, Commandant, you're doing that thing again, where you're talking about the thing you're not supposed to talk about.
And he kind of like looks down and he says, "Well, I just thought since you already knew and you were doing the errand for us that you might consider joining the order."
You know, Lady Vore told me that you might be in a little bit of trouble. So
he looks nervously back into the
keep your head down.
And he nods and says, "Well, good luck."
You might want the luck yourself.
You're like, "We're going to this ancient tomb, but your boss is going to give you shit, so have fun with that." Okay, Cool. All right. So yeah, you have a map. You have this this scroll. Do you want to take a look at the scroll? Yeah. I figure you're gonna be the only one.
Please,
I figure you're gonna be the only one that can use it. It is a scroll containing the spell fly. Contains,
Rad.
contains the fly spell.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So is there anything that you want to do before you head out into the foothills of the Pale Mountain?
I have one more question. What
Yeah.
level is the fly spell at?
I think it's 3rd.
Okay. It's just it. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a regular third
base
level.
level.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Can I just buy things that will be useful for the journey?
Yes, now that you have time, you could ask around about the foothills. This is the town phase before we go into the exploration phase.
All right. Yeah, I'd like to see if I can garner anything about the area.
Okay. Is there a skill for like gathering
Is
information?
society the skill for that? I don't know. I've never pressed that button. What does it do? Society. Healer. Recall knowledge, subsist on the streets, create forgery, or decipher right. If I knew that this was forgery, I would have taken it.
Street knowledge.
Gather information is diplomacy. Which
Nice.
I'm actually trained in.
Okay, so what are you trying to gather information about?
Like the geography, what physical terrain things will be coming up against.
Okay, sure. Yeah. And who are you seeking this information from?
Just like adventuring people, because this town's full of adventurers. And you're like, hey,
it
wake
was
up.
full of adventurers. The adventurers came, killed all the monsters, took all the treasure, and then left. Now, the people that are here are like actual like citizens, people trying to rebuild the town.
Well, I guess that explains that result then, because I'm like, yeah, people will know. And I just like go around like,
Yeah,
and
the
just
best you can get, the most information that you get is that Pale Mountain is a volcano. It's like a volcanic mountain. It hasn't erupted in forever, but it might. And I think that you like are in the middle of a conversation. When you bring that up, someone else says like, yeah, that's why we shouldn't be building here. And the other one says, oh, it's not going to go off. It's a dormant. That's what they say. And then it starts an argument between the two of them, and you just kind of have to like.
I come back to the party and I say, well, I found out one thing.
And
It counts down to when the volcano goes off, obviously.
Whoa.
Oh, that kind of makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, I just, to
where perchance did you discover this information?
well, I just, I worked it out.
You went to
Guys-
work
The
out.
volcano.
I don't want to criticize, but you've never been one for just working things out much.
No, but like,
I am average intelligence. I'm not dumb because I speak like this.
dang, but does the labyrinth go into the volcano?
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
This is a very good design.
Your definition of good is arguable.
Bad for us, but very well designed. Good on this wizard.
With clarification, that does make sense.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll go get a couple of bits.
Well,
of stuff and that.
I've got a climbing kit. If you,
I'll
already.
get my own climbing kit. I don't want your climbing.
All right. Suppose mine is
Dwarves.
measured for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Go get your own. Everyone else. Oh,
I want to.
before we leave, I am not going to be impressed if any of you has forgot your signal whistle. What if we need to alert ourselves or each other about impending danger and you don't got your whistle, right? So go and sort that out.
I really like that Plunderfist is like the safety officer. Like Plunderfist is the guy that when everybody's getting on the boat, he's like, life jackets, everybody, life jackets, come on.
That's very cute. How much is a signal whistle? I have 1 silver left.
8 copper, so you're in luck.
Yeah, so Parcel just about faces and runs off to buy a signal whistle.
Buy a signal whistle. Excellent. Okay.
Yes, I've got the whistle. It's fine. I don't think we've ever used them, but
because I'm normally sneaking about. Isn't it?
I'm gonna grab one.
it doesn't really track very well, does it? You try to sneak about, and then when you see trouble, you can't alert us because you're busy not being seen. It's if the ambush has already happened, the signal whistle's not very useful.
What if I blow the whistle as I punch someone in the back of the head?
Toot toot, motherfucker! Bonk.
I suppose that works.
Yeah, we're right. Come on then.
So, Berard, you were gonna go buy a signal whistle. Is there anything else you wanted to purchase?
I'm gonna see if there are any animals that need help. I wouldn't advertise that I'm an animal doctor, but I like talking to animals. So.
Okay, so you're gonna get acquainted with the local animal populace. Okay, yeah. I mean, there's lots of like work animals here, right? Like people have come out hearing that the town is safe again, and they've come to sort of like claim it. It's got a bit of like a Deadwood vibe in the sense that like it's sort of muddy and grimy and stuff, and there's like this is a site of some significant violence multiple times in the past. But everybody that's here has this kind of idea of like, cool, a new beginning in this town. And so you see people with, there's lots of like dogs, some that belong to people, some that seem to have just been abandoned and are strays. There are people who have brought cattle with the intention of kind of like ranching them in the lowlands nearby. So yeah, you have access to a wide variety of sort of domesticated animalia.
Oh, I have one last question.
Yes.
Can I have a set of artisan's tools for trap making?
I mean, I don't see why not.
Perfect, because it's like the artisan's tools, and you have your crafting skill, but it doesn't delineate exactly which things you can have as your artisan. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think if you buy the tools, you are equipped to make like traps. Sure.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the last of my gold then.
Brad, did you want to ask? Do you want to like gather any information from these animals about anything, or are you just kind of going out and making friends?
I guess it's just friends.
Okay, let's see how that goes. Let's see if you make an animal friend. What's a good skill for this? Probably diplomacy. Yeah, let's have you make a diplomacy check to see if you can make some animal friends. Let's see. Would you get an 11?
11.
Man, that's so low for
11.
you.
I can say that.
You can say that in normal voice. Yeah. I mean, you can say it in character voice too. That's fine too. Okay. So you got an 11. So yeah, I mean, I think you're like moderately friendly. Let me look up, let me get a random dog name generator. Let's see here. Dog name generator from rover.com.
Fido.
Let's see. Ooh, what's your name if you were born a dog? What year were you? What year were you born, Josh?
87.
87. All right, Josh. If you were a pooch, your dog name would be. Here we go. Calculating. Storm. Okay. Wow, that's appropriate.
Wow, that's way too on brand.
That is on brand. Okay. So you meet
I also have an animal speaker as a feat, I can talk to you.
You talk to Storm? Okay. Yeah, so Storm is a noble hound who is brought along here to like shepherd. There's a flock of sheep that someone owns, and Storm is their guardian. And so you befriend Storm, and and they have a job to do. He's got to stay here and take care of these animals, but he's willing to tell you things that he knows. Or like help you out however a dog can.
I just first I want to let you know that I appreciate the work that you're doing here. You're a good dog, and that's generally where I start by showing appreciation.
Let me see. I'm gonna roll. How many alignments are there? There's 9, right? I'm gonna roll and let's see if he is a good dog. I'm gonna roll randomly here. Let's see. What do we got? A 6. So lawful.
Chaotic neutral dog?
Yeah, let's see. So if we do, let's see, lawful good, lawful neutral. Is neutral down here. lawful evil, and then chaotic good, chaotic neutral. The alignment of this dog is very important to me. Good, and then we have like neutral good and neutral evil. It looks like, despite your claims that Storm is a good dog, Storm is indeed a neutral evil dog. But he won't let you know that. He looks at you and he nods like, yes, good. It's important that you think that.
Yeah. I guess I was a bit curious about what happens in this town, and if you know anything about a volcano.
I don't think Storm knows what the word volcano means, but he does tell you in his own way that the sheep here are always they're always afraid, right? They're skittish, and sheep are cowards no matter where you go, but this place is scaring them particularly, and it makes them scared because it smells. Like, can't you smell that? This whole place stinks like predators, like blood. Doesn't bother me, but it's making everyone putting everyone on edge.
Can I smell that, actually?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Because I have because I'm a sharp-nosed Norm.
Yeah, you are. That's true. Yeah, make a perception check. That's a good point. When he's like, "Can't you smell that?" and you're like, Yeah. So that stink that Storm is referring to is that even long after they're gone, the smell of gnolls like hangs in this town. Like, they have clearly marked it as their own with whatever disgusting scent marking glands that gnolls have. This place is like gnoll central. And it hasn't cleared, right? It's going to take some time to get the gnoll stink off of it. But the humans definitely can't smell it. But you and Storm, you recognize.
Yes, that's quite poor. Okay. Well, thank you. Take care of the sheep.
Yeah, and he looks over his shoulder, and there's sheep just kind of milling around in this little like penned area. And he looks back at you and he nods seriously and he says, "I will."
Okay.
I'll take care of them, all right. And he just like
looks back. I'm pretty sure.
Turn back, he's like sharpening a knife.
Well, he looks back at the sheep and they all kind of are like, "Oh God," and they like cower away from him.
Yeah, Brard is true neutral, so it's not necessarily that he doesn't totally understand. Yeah. He's just not going to do anything about it.
Right. And also, like, Storm, it's his job to dominate these sheep and make them follow him, because that's what he does. He gets to decide where they go or they don't go.
Yeah.
It's overthrowing the humans. That's his real plan someday.
What? Right.
Because then he won't have anyone bossing him around, and then Storm can be king. All right. So while Plunderfist is shopping and Brard is talking to Storm, I'm gonna make a note that Storm is a thing now. Storm, the evil dog. Storm dog. All right.
Do you mind which alignment we are?
Do I?
Yeah.
No, I supremely do not care. The adventure doesn't care either.
All right, sweet.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to decide if I'm neutral or chaotic evil.
Mm-hmm. Whatever. Yeah. Okay. So anything you want to do? Anything else you want to do in town? Hassle Kamadan some more?
Buy my signal whistle.
Yeah, you get your signal whistle. Okay, perfect. Cool. Okay. All right. Well, let's.
I was thinking.
Oh yeah, you got something parcel? No, do it.
Searching for my unmute button.
Yeah, do it.
I'm gonna do my elf thing where I contemplate my very, very long life and gain proficiency in a skill for the day. Yeah.
Nice.
So the thing that I think is going to be useful for the adventure today that I'm not currently trained in is probably going to be I'm going to give it do we athletics or deception? Athletics or deception?
Does anybody, and this is a question, does anybody have survival? Is anybody trained in survival as a
I
scout.
am.
Very
good.
much so.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
figured. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does this let me do acrobatics in place of athletics if stuff comes up?
I think in this they're both fairly like specifically delineated
They're
skills.
specifically, yeah. So for this, since it's like, oh, okay, we might have to flee from a volcano. There might be that sort of thing. Yeah, Parcel goes and gets into her like meditation position and thinks back to gym class. And
They have gym class in space.
Yes,
Nice.
space gym class. And all of the time she had to climb the rope and failed.
It's impossible. No one can climb a rope. That's a
No
lie. No one
no.
can do it. It's not possible.
No, my arms are too spindly.
No person can climb a rope. It's just not real.
Why would they torture us with this? But you had to pass gym class, and you have to pass gym class to graduate.
Did they have that thing in space where you stand on a line and then they blow the whistle and you have to run to the other line and back,
Yes,
and then you have to keep and
go
you just
back.
keep doing
Yeah.
Okay,
then-
good.
Yeah, they absolutely had that. And then you also had to do one chin up. These were the requirements.
The space beep test.
No. So she thinks about this a lot and then is like, yes, I have trained in athletics. I very much know the trials and tribulations of a sport.
Excellent.
And is ready to do a whole jump today.
One jump, you're ready. Okay, so you're limbering up your legs. You're meditating on the meaning of the space presidential fitness test, and yeah, cool. And so you call on these long. At one point, at some time in your life, you were better at sport than you are now. So you just call back to that time. Man, it's weird. This feat brings up so many questions about how elf brains work that I could just spend the whole rest of the episode talking about that. But I'm not going to. But
so I just I'm temporarily healing the memory synapses.
Yeah, right? Like that's how does it like you just suddenly are better at a thing because you used to be good at it? Like does that imply that you were potentially the same goodness at all things? Like it's really cool, and I don't.
I guess I just have a limited capacity based on. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
I guess we just need to not think about this right now.
So this feat particularly is one like the raised shield thing. It's one of these little mechanical bits and pieces that I really like in the Pathfinder playtest. Where I'm like, it's a mechanical thing that offers you an advantage in play when you do it. It's worth taking, and it says so much stuff about the material that it's drawing on. Like the lore in it is just like. What? Wait, what does this mean? How does this work? Elves are crazy. So that's super cool. So you're going to do that, and you're going to tap into your previous athleticism to improve yourself for heading out into the world, which we will do when we get back from our first break. So stick around, everybody. We will be right back after this break with more.